on, Eli?
How we doing, guys?
Happy Thursday. It's a thirsty Thursday. We got the homie on deck today.
That's right. I'm excited for this one, man.
He's still on mute, right?
Yeah.
Keep him on mute because I just want to give him an intro of just the homie. I taught him how to play baseball back in the day. And he was super impressed when I taught him that. I know he's looking right now. This right here, I taught him that, and taught him how to throw, taught him how to shoot. Pretty much taught this dude how to do everything. And he's been beating on our door to be on the podcast. And I know as soon as he comes off mute, it's gonna get crazy. So I got to get whatever I'm gonna say to this knucklehead out right now. But no, man. All seriousness, man. This is one of the closest Marines I have with me. When I talk about mistakes I've made in my life, or I needed to get checked, this is one of the guys that kind of had to check me one time, man, and just make sure that I was just proud of myself. I was proud of what I had accomplished or proud of where I was going, and I didn't lose scope of some of those things. I know a lot of times we get lost, and we talk about friends or just needing friends around that just keep us in that right direction, but just smack your pee-pee sometimes, man, when it's needed. And he's always been that friend that will give an honest response. But he was always that guy that would check you if it was needed. And here's what's the loyalty with him that's so great that I hope everyone has is, if I ever needed that check, it never changed our relationship. Now that's obviously predicated on don't make the same mistakes or you're a piece of shit and you probably don't deserve your friends. But the bottom line was, if I ever needed to talk like that to just open up my mind or just get some more perspective on stuff, he was able to do that, but not change how he treated me. And I think that's what we're all afraid of sometimes is you think if someone checks you, they're going to change how they treat you. And because he's loyal and honest, I know he's going to come on here and he's going to tell you guys how much better at baseball I am, and I tell him to shoot. So with that being said, Manny, what's up, man? What's going on?
What's going on, my man? How you doing, brother?
Thanks for having me on, man. I'm talking a lot of shit, but first and foremost, guys, Manny's a super entrepreneur. They run Bastards American Canteen out in Southern California. A lot of people have seen that, I guess, from my side. Wow, we're just coming out there when I was with that fitness company and all of what we're doing. But before we go back into like a super beginning and you growing up and all that good stuff, can you give everyone a rundown of just what it is that you guys actually do, what that encompasses, and where you guys are at right now?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's first and foremost, again, man, thanks for having me on. And we'll get to all the bullshit as far as all those self-proclaimed fucking things that you have taught me in life, man. But no, man, it's really cool to be on. But yeah, so I'm the managing partner at Bastards American Canteen. So what we do is we own and operate a veteran-owned restaurant, gastropub style, craft burgers, everything, scratch kitchen. We're craft, local brewed beers, craft cocktails. We really pride ourselves on kind of that homegrown style kind of operations that we run. And just a lot of things have derived from that, along with just, not only the restaurant, we're the ones that put on the biggest, veteran events in on the West Coast. So that Marine Corps birthday on the West Coast that you guys hear about every year for the last 7 years, that's us. It's Bastards. This would be our 8th year, and we're hoping that, we can definitely still make that happen. It's every year on November 10th. We've grown that event from 300 people up to now over 4,000 people walk through our gates. And this is, again, very organically. These things, as far as our events, have happened, throughout the years, but they've grown with the support of the veteran community that was built around just vets fucking hustling in our area. So that's what Bastards is.
You guys also have a nonprofit as well, right? Not to cut you off, but I know, and I want to make sure we talk about that today too, because that it doesn't coincide necessarily with Bastards, but they definitely work hand in hand, correct? And do you use Bastards Canteen to funnel anything or funnel some awareness into your nonprofit, Save the Brave?
Yeah, absolutely. So Save the Brave is a 100% nonprofit, but it does coincide with Bastards. Actually, one doesn't work without the other, and it's why the nonprofit came together. Not only did we build, a hub and a home for veterans and the community to kind of come together and just really kind of create that merge that kind of fucking VFWs and all these American Legion posts that I don't take anything away from, but they cater to the veteran by itself. And so we did is we wanted to definitely bring that merge between the community through fucking food and beverage and the veterans, to be able to come through. If you come to our restaurants, they have it's all military decor, specifically the Marine Corps, but we get customers from all different branches, enlisted personnel to veterans.
And Bastards, super unique name, right? Super
yes.
awesome. But remember, a lot of our listeners might not even know. They just think you're that cool because you came up with it. Like, I can attest you're not that cool. You didn't come up with it. And Eli's looking at me too, like, Bastards. Like, let's go into some history there as far as like, where does the name, one, where does it come from? And secondly, when you find out where it comes from, now you'll figure out why, cities and counties actually approve of that name.
Yep, thanks. That's
to be around.
Just about
and
to
not only
that.
approve of it, but they just encourage that culture and where it comes from and what it's all about and what you guys do. But super fun name, probably the only place you're ever going to get away with something like that. But go into the history behind Bastards.
Yeah. So what's really cool, man, about this is that obviously this is not a one-man show for me, man. The founder of Bastards, there's a founder and a co-founder, and those two guys are my best friends. It's guys that not only did I grow up in the Marine Corps with, but I started the Marine Corps with. Literally, we all went to boot camp and School of Infantry together, and we were best buds since then. And after School of Infantry, what usually tends to happen is everybody in the platoon gets shipped out to different units. So the founder and co-founder of Bastards, Nick Velez and Calvin Spencer, they both went to 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. I myself went to 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. So that's my home battalion. And, we're right across the street from each other. We're part of 5th Marine Regiment. But the nickname Bastards derives from the Magnificent Bastards. The Magnificent Bastards is the nickname given to the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, in which Calvin and Nick both served. And I guess I can cruise through the history of how kind of that ended up starting. But yeah, after, a full term enlistment, whatever you want to call it, these two motherfuckers got together. I was still in at the time that they were getting out. I was still in Afghanistan, and they got out, man. They both went out, did their own thing for a little bit, tried to find themselves. Nick went up to Seattle, started some business ventures up there. Calvin was down here in Southern California, going through culinary arts school. Just the typical post-Marine Corps shit, you know what I mean? Trying to figure out.
You don't know.
What the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck we're going to do, you know what I'm saying?
I remember going through that, dude. It was, it's interesting because when you're in the Marine Corps, and Manny and I, we were instructors together at division schools, and even then, like, you're just so fixed because most people think, or maybe not most, but some people think in the Marine Corps, when you're toward the end of your term and you're instructing, it's time to coast. Not in the Marine Corps, man. Like, there's chips on their shoulder. And I don't mean just your upper echelon command staff making sure you don't slack. If you're there and you got peers, other instructors, and they think you're slacking, hey, motherfucker, no. Like, you're here to train Marines. That's it. These guys are coming here. They're training. They're getting deployed. And it's like you don't necessarily imagine your life outside of the Marine Corps. It's not like you're thinking you're going to die every day, but you're just here right now. And you're figuring it out, and then you decide to get out. People usually talk trash if you're getting out. And or they'll go skate at the gym, like work at the gym or whatnot. But I remember when I decided to get out, and I'm sure, Manny, you got I don't know if yours is similar, but like I'm going through that week-long or 4-day course on your transition out, and they're like teaching me how to do my taxes or some bullshit, and I was just like, what? Oh shit, man! Like I almost didn't. I'm almost like, what's going on? But what you're talking about right there, and I'm gonna stop you periodically, man, because there's just some good stuff here. But this is super important because a lot of what these guys are bringing awareness to. We spoke to Donnie O'Malley, not too long ago. What he's trying to bring awareness to is this transition of Marines getting out and refining themselves per se, finding what they want to do, what they enjoy, being worried about not fitting in. Not realizing that they don't have to try to fit in, they can be themselves. But just like some of these guys found themselves within culinary arts school, Manny's going to talk about what he did and then how it all kind of came together. This is how I found real estate, bullshit I do, and then incorporating myself with civilians and how that's okay too. But this is very pinnacle for you guys, coming together into this whole Bastards project, because that is a super hard transition. If there's veterans listening right now or active duty guys getting ready to get out, they definitely understand the gap that you're about to start talking about and what it all looked like for you guys to kind of come together.
Yeah, man. And it's really cool that you highlight that, because a lot of motherfuckers think that they have to have it figured out prior to getting out. And that creates the anxiety, that creates the fear of the unknown bullshit, right? But what I came to figure out through this transition is that you got to naturally go through shit to really figure out what is it that you're going to want to do. Because my transition from the Marine Corps into the civilian world had nothing to do with the restaurant industry, man.
Right.
You were going to college. You were going to be a Fed or something, right?
my mentality stayed in as a shooter, right? My mentality was so far away from the restaurant industry. I didn't want to leave the Marine Corps after almost 9 years. I wanted to get out and still, do the contracting, still do the operating, still be a fucking trigger puller. But I allowed myself to just really experience a ton of shit, just surrounding myself with fucking amazing people. And I come to find out that, I lived for fucking almost 10 years with two of my best friends in the industry capital of the world, servicing in San Diego. You have people from all over the world. They go to San Diego to live, to really to work in the service industry. It's a completely the dynamics of the industry.
Where was that townhome you had? Remember when I came out for New Year's?
Yeah, that was Pacific Beach, bro. That was the fucking crash pad.
Listen to me.
Yeah, so I lived there for a minute, bro. It was fun.
If anyone has ever been to San Diego and hung out with Marines, I can't remember. I was still a cop.
Yeah.
And this is where this is just gonna be fun. It's gonna brew some stories.
Do cop shit.
Oh my god! So I'm obviously outside of my backyard, right? And Manny's known me forever. Even when I was a cop, I'm not here to go run around and try to bust everyone or be Leave It to Beaver on some mission, man. It's just not me, and I don't want to get my ass kicked. Even if I was that kind of guy, if you're just not in your jurisdiction, you shouldn't be doing anything. Yeah. But these guys are cool. But I go out there for New Year's. I can't remember. Somebody was fighting. I had a buddy that was out there fighting. I was going to see that. Couldn't get tickets to that. But I was hanging out for New Year's for sure.
Yeah.
And that party. And Manny's so low key, man. He's like, yeah, no sweat, man. Come by, yeah, no sweat. Just sleep with us, stay with us. Manny might have some family from a said biker gang, we'll call it, for lack of a better term.
Oh, Jesus.
Super nice guy, super awesome. Not saying there are any bad things, but
fucking recon Marine, dude.
He was. You're right.
Yeah.
And just the experience I had with these guys, and just they found out I was a cop, and then but it was like, oh, cool. But then they kept staring at me a certain way, and it was a good time, man. We had a blast. I don't remember where I slept, if I slept. It was. One of our boys is married to a girl he had just met not too long prior to that, and she was at that party. Just crazy. And again, it just kind of goes back to just those friendships you have, man, that you can always just kind of go back to that safe haven. And you can tell I'm buying myself some time because I'm figuring out what I should say or not say about that party, and I might bring it up later on. But outrageously good time, and so that's when you were living with Nick and Calvin.
No. Actually, no, okay. I was living with my boys Rob and Pete, and these guys again, man. It's part of the story, man. Because these two dudes, my two best friends, Rob and Peter, they veteran owned and operated. They actually run the biggest dispensaries down in the Palm Springs area. They're going under the third location. And they're just running game, man. And again, it's that veteran entrepreneurship, that mentality that we just kind of, again, so far away from what we were doing at the time in Pacific Beach, living there. And we were kind of just trying to figure out who the fuck we were as individuals, and kind of taking that anxiety away from, look, we don't have time, because we had all the time in the world. We were fucking partying from Monday through Sunday, but we were learning lessons, right? We were experiencing life. We were getting that shit out of the way so that when we kind of fell into something, an idea, and we ran with it, we were able to take learning lessons that we were learning at the time, and a lot of the shit that we learned in the Marine Corps, right? Leadership. And that's the biggest thing that I preach to my team is leadership. And I didn't I didn't take a fancy ass leadership course. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't sign up for these fucking, become a fucking CEO in 3 months. I didn't do that. I just naturally reverted back to my time in the Marine Corps, operating in the combat environment as a team leader, as a squad leader, and leading Marines at the most elite and at the highest level of operations. And that built this kind of fucking grit and leadership in me that I was able to just kind of take that into the civilian world, regardless when I was going to fucking, start,
what did that look
growing
like?
Up, you know what I mean?
Right. And what did that look like? Because I think I tend to fall back on that as well. And then, like, I went from some government work when I was still in California after the Marine Corps. Then I moved home, I become a cop. So I kind of fell into trace of some common jobs there. But what's unique about, like Marine Corps, leadership and just military leadership, I can't say in general, because I do think there's some things that are different about the Marine Corps and how much they encourage small unit leadership, how much they actually empower team leaders and squad leaders, and how much responsibility is behind those guys if you actually see, that job from an infantryman. But that's also a strength because that's unique. Like you said, I didn't go to college for it, and I didn't take some cert to be a CO, but you were a part of something that most people had not been exposed to before. So it was like a niche, but walk us through, I guess, where we should start, man, just for where we're at in the conversation is cool. So you're transitioning out of the Marine Corps, and I know like you started picking up on your leadership and falling back on that. And I'm sure that was maybe later on, but I remember you going to school for a little while. I remember, okay, cool. You're in PB kind of taking it in, but so cool. I decided to get out. From there, getting out to when Bastards became a thing for you to when you actually dove in 100% and started taking it serious. What did that time, like, what was that time frame like for you, if you can walk us through it?
Well, it was crazy because I actually started in the service industry prior to getting it, partnering up with Calvin and Nick. So it was crazy, man. Again, living in PB, I was going to school full time, but I was still fucking bored, man. I needed to stay a lot more busier.
What were you going to school for?
I was a sociology major. So at the time I was at San Diego Mesa taking fucking general ed classes. But honestly, man, my goal at the time was to get some kind of bullshit degree and then get into the contracting world, on the more kind of behind the scenes aspect, not just fucking ground pounding. So that was kind of my idea at the time. But honestly, it was also to pay the fucking bills.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was going to school to pay bills and booze it up with my homies 7 days a week. And it was working. You know what I'm saying?
Working.
Oh, it was working.
But I got to the point, man, that I needed to do more. Right. Yeah. So funny you mentioned our boy's wife, Rosie, White Way's wife. She was working for a bar down in PB, and shout out to Rosie and David. I know they're listening.
Good folks.
But she was working for a bar down in PB, and there was a new place opening up in Normal Heights next to downtown. And she's like, hey, they're hiring fucking food runners and bussers, right? And I'm like, fuck it. And she's like, look, man, you guys work for tips, pay sucks, but whatever, just keep you busy. For me, man, I mean, I didn't understand the kind of what that fucking meant, right? Being a busser and being a food runner. I just thought, fuck it, I could wipe tables down and run some food, not a big deal. I could fucking, I could check my ego, although I thought I could, until I went to a fucking interview, man. I got hired right away. They're like, yeah, man, this is what you do. You're a fucking food runner and you bust tables. This is after 8.5 years of getting out of the Marine Corps, or this is after 8.5 years of serving in the Marine Corps, getting out as a sergeant, getting out of fucking, fucking with all my accolades, a combat veteran, led Marines in fucking combat, and now I'm running fucking food and wiping tables, right? So yeah, man. And it was crazy because I was trying to figure myself out. I was trying to I'm working, and I'm working with fucking 18-year-olds, 19. I'm 26 at the time, about to be 27. And so I'm really trying to find myself, and I really just dive into it, right? I really just dive into it, just going back to what I was just fucking taught as a kid, man. My dad always said that if you're going to do anything, fucking whether it's sweeping fucking, the hallway or leading Marines in combat, do it to the best of your ability, man. So I just kind of reverted back to that, and I checked my ego, and it took a lot for that to happen, but I did. And what ended up happening was I was figuring out a way to maneuver my way through the fucking industry, right? Like, okay, I'm a fucking food runner and buster right now, but how do I get to that next billet, right? Because that's what the Marine Corps taught me, how to take that next billet. So I did, and I was just overwhelming people, right? My bar managers were believing in me, like fucking some of the most amazing people I've worked for were just kind of seeing that in me, and they were putting me in these positions, and they were training me, right? To a point where I was bar backing, and then I was bartending. I was getting pulled to different restaurants to fucking go work over there as a bar back, a bartender. But that wasn't enough for me, because what inspired me to move on to the next level was I would see the fucking owners of these restaurants, and these guys are fucking amazing dudes, man. Just great fucking dudes. I got to know them. I think it was because of my age being a little bit older than just your basic, industry worker. I was able to relate to them a little bit more. And again, man, the San Diego vibe's amazing. So these people, I would see the way they operate, the way they maneuvered, and I saw myself in that. So seeing myself in that, I was able, again, trying to understand how to maneuver my way to get to that position. So at the time, this is about, honestly, man, I moved up that quick in the industry. It took me about 8 months, bro, to move from fucking running food, which I was cool, man. I mean, like I said, at the time, I was just soaking it in, but it was an ego check. But, we made it happen. And it was about 8 months before I was getting pulled to other restaurants. And then it was more just like hey, let's get them down, to PB, or let's get them down to downtown, or let's, this one motherfucker. At the same time, I was battling with getting ready to transfer from fucking junior college into fucking college. So I'm applying to all these fucking schools in San Diego because my goal was to stay in San Diego forever, right? And I'm fucking getting denial letters, man, from fucking San Diego State denying me. You know what I mean?
Well, they're trying to find your
UCSD
papers.
denying.
They're trying to find your papers. Not their fault. They're trying to find your papers.
Yeah, no shit, right? No, man. And I thought I had it in the bag, bro.
You're like, nah, they're with Obama's. My papers are they're right next to Obama's. You got Obama's,
6
right?
6 months, man. 6 months. But yeah, dude. So it just wasn't happening. So, and it was kind of discouraging because, again, I wanted to stay in San Diego, but I said, fuck it. I applied to Cal State Long Beach, shout out, go beach, fucking dirtbags, right? And boom, right away, I get picked up. And the story is crazy because I get picked up by Cal State Long Beach, and I'm getting ready. I'm starting to look for apartments in Long Beach. Well, Long Beach is about 15 minutes from Downey, where Bastard's is. And at this point, Bastard's is about 2 years old. And I go there for the events at this point and just hanging out with my two best buds that are running game right now. And I go to a fucking promotion ceremony. Alex's promotion ceremony.
Yep, motivator.
So shout out to Gunny Barba. But I go to his promotion ceremony at Bastards.
Gunny Barba, god damn it, bro.
He'll be a first on soon, man.
Dude, I'm already, like, my body's already stiffening up to, like, stand there, like,
to lock it up.
Attention and shit.
Yeah. But he fucking, so he was having a promotion ceremony. So I get there and I'm talking with Nick, and we're talking about the nonprofit, right? Nonprofit still wasn't a thing yet. It was barely brand new. People were still doing shit pro bono. We weren't a 501c3 yet. And I'm talking to him and I'm saying, you know what, man? Hey, I'm making the move down to Long Beach. Fuck the restaurant industry. Like, I just want to go full time for the nonprofit. I'm going to go hard on it. You don't have to pay me. I just want to fucking go hard on it, right? And he's just like, he's looking at me and he's just like,
you're weird.
All right. Yeah, he's like, all right. So I end up taking off and I'm driving back home. He fucking shoots me a text, man. I'll never forget this. About a paragraph long, pretty much saying, fuck the nonprofit. Like, we'll grow that as we grow, and we have. He goes, but, you need to jump on the team here with myself and Calvin. You know what I mean? You're a fucking brother. You're this part of the vision that we always had as kids growing up in fucking School of Infantry and maneuvering through the Marine Corps. And this is perfect because I was kind of the subject matter expert of the front of the house, bartending, waitressing, kind of those operations. So I was pretty much the missing puzzle of that kind of the trio where Calvin just really honed in on the culinary fucking food aspect of our business. I was doing all, beverage with cocktails and kind of diving in with breweries and fucking putting together different ingredients for cocktails. And then Nick just kind of closing that off with just his business savviness, because the dude is a fucking monster when it comes to that. And so it was kind of this three-legged fucking three-headed monster that came together from that. And it took me about 2 minutes to just say, fuck it, I'm in. Like, and it started like that. It's like, fuck, man, there's no pay, there's nothing, but there's this fucking goal, this vision, this mission, and we're going to accomplish it because of this fucking crew that we got. And after that, man, I moved down to Long Beach. I would say maybe about a year and a half after I got out of the Marine Corps, I moved down to Long Beach, started school full time, and I was working 7 days a week, closing the restaurant as the closing manager. And then, we would Calvin would open the restaurant 7 days a week. Nick would fucking jump in. And then I was closing the restaurant 7 days a week because I would go to school all day, and then I would get to the restaurant and I would close it. And after that, man, I mean, it's something we saw, just the growth in it, because we sat down and we said, you know what, fuck this corner spot on Downey and Second. We said, let's create a brand, because now we're just so much more fucking efficient on how we're operating and the level of fucking leadership that we have. And just overall, man, just fucking grit and just the ability to operate with two other dudes that would, in a fucking heartbeat, just fucking take a round of the dome piece from me, man. And that, you don't find that anywhere. So I saw that as special, and I kind of came into myself and saying, hey man, this is something that I've been thinking about. So it was something that resonated, coming from the San Diego industry and really seeing and maneuvering my way and be like, man, like, I got to be on that side of the fucking bar. You know what I'm saying?
Real quick, Manny, super cool, man, that you were able to check your ego and take that bussing position, man. And in hindsight, it's just interesting to look at, because that position, I've been a busser many years of my life, bro. And I always
Eli up on a warrant, bro. He kept stealing tips when he was a busser. I had to arrest him. So when I arrest him, he's in the back of my patrol car telling me his business model. So just like you got a text message, I got that from the back of my cop car, and I was like, "Fuck it, dude!"
Pulled over and put him in the passenger side.
Yeah.
Hey.
Dude, but that busser position, man, like, it's you're lowest on the totem pole for sure. Yep. But the value that you were able to bring to Bastards from that position, because the funny part about that food runner busser position, a lot of people don't know, is you're the fucking glue between the hostess, the waitresses, the waiters, and your bar back in when you're not bussing tables. So it's like, I always love that spot, because you're part bartender, you're up there fucking with the hostess the whole time. You get to see that part of it. You're interacting with the waiters, and you're saving the day for them running food when you're not bussing tables, and just literally taking the lowest of the totem pole position. You were able to bring the most value to those guys at Bastards. And that's just something I want to point out, guys. It's like, especially with you and your accolades that you had from the Marines, like, fuck, man, I can't imagine, going from, where you were there, and I literally can't imagine it, but going from where you were there to where that position is, in a restaurant, but the benefit that came from that.
Well, and the culture too, like, maybe some folks don't realize, but like in the Marine Corps, like when you're a team leader, you're a squad leader, got whatever you are, if you can't do the lowest man's job, or if you're going to be too lazy where you can't fill in,
that's a good point,
and assemble, disassemble machine guns, if you're not proficient in every single thing, you're just a piece of shit. And that's the culture of the Marine Corps infantry. So there, like when we're in training, and you're training, like when you're digging in, there's different types of warfare. You've got urban warfare, you've got jungle warfare, you've got different types of warfare, and you train on all of it. Because when I always, you might, hey, cool, we're in Iraq right now. But Afghanistan, that's a different war. I'm sure Manny can speak to that. That's a different war than what Iraq was, or for preparing for China or Russia, and it's more, traditional. Yeah, you're gonna be digging in, as in you're gonna be digging holes in the ground for guys to be hiding out, because you can't just be standing up in the open.
You're literally digging holes.
So when you're, even as a sergeant, you go to the field with your unit, and you guys are training. Sergeants don't just get a kick back. You got to be digging your shit too. So no matter how high you were going up in the Marine Corps, you were still doing your part, and you still had to have that chip on your shoulder, and you had to prove to everyone below you were still more than proficient in every single thing. Because the one thing about Marine Corps infantry is, if you're fat, they ain't gonna listen to you. If you suck at your job, they will not listen to you. If you can't shoot, they will not listen to you. If you fall out of runs, they will not listen to you. No matter, and it doesn't matter if you're a sergeant. You will have guys that are terminal lance corporals because they told everyone to fuck off, but there's just this atmosphere in the Marine Corps, and it's healthy. It's, hey, if you're in this, you got it. You've earned it. If you're a corporal, sergeant, even if you don't have the rank yet, but you're in a billet, you're a team leader as a lance corporal, whatever it is. If you're not proficient, dude, guys are gonna call you out. So something that I can speak to, like with Manny, was just going bare bottom. Is like that's also in your culture of like, fuck it, I'm gonna dive in and figure myself out. And if this is where my starting point is, that's fine. I've climbed one ladder that was probably a lot harder. I can climb this ladder, but it is, man. It goes into like how well-rounded you have to be. And when we look at business, it's very idolized when people go from the ground up, and people understand the value of doing every single position possible. Yeah. Very rarely do people actually do that. Right?
Now, is that something? And you guys can both answer this, asking both you guys, is that something that is more specific to the Marine Corps? Because from my experience, I'm probably biased because, I'm around you most
you're my
often.
boyfriend, that's right.
But it seems like it seems like the entrepreneurial tendencies, entrepreneurial spirit, like that thrives in the Marine Corps, and that's why you see a lot of the guys come out and they do start their own businesses.
All I can say is this, and I'm sure Manny can speak to it, and he's out in SoCal. There's probably more military. I'm not going to bad talk any military, right? Like I can only speak to the Marine Corps. But what I have seen that is a little bit different, and it's definitely different with our officers going through OCS and things, but definitely different with us, is the infantry is the backbone of the Marine Corps, right? We are, like the Army, that's an occupational force. So if I'm going super blanket statement right now, I'm not trying to offend anyone. The Army is more of an occupational force. They're a larger number. They've got MOSs that are more occupational, as in Manny and his crew, they go in and invade Fallujah, okay? And they're kicking that in. And once they've gained that territory, a lot of times Army would come in and occupy it, and the Marine Corps would continue to gain ground. I'm not going to say the Army never takes over stuff. I'm not going to say that. So I'm not bashing any other military. But what I will say is, you've heard, Brian Shantosh talk. We've had we've had Donnie O'Malley come in. He spoke about OCS. You have to earn infantry as an officer. Yeah. People think infantry is like the, bottom of the barrel. You guys are idiots. No, like combined arms and just warfare. You've got to be extremely, extremely smart. And a lot of your officers were Ivy League school cats that just also were adrenaline junkies and wanted to fucking pull trigger. Like Shantosh, mechanical engineer. What? Yeah. Right? Like just super smart. But when they were going through OCS, they had to score high enough. They had to earn infantry. You weren't given it. In the Marine Corps, just being in boot camp and they're going through evening BDR and they're asking who you are, and you're able to say, Recruit Grimes, 0300 infantry regular. I'm not a reservist. I'm regular. I'm infantry. There's not a pedestal, but it's like it's just the balls of the Marine Corps, man. And it's like in the Marine Corps, the culture there is like you go to the Marine Corps to be a Marine. So if you're going to be a Marine, a lot of guys chose like, well, if I'm going to be a Marine, then I might as well be this fucking one because that's where the standard is. So with infantrymen in the Marine Corps, that's the standard. Yeah. It's like no disrespect to anyone, but these dudes are in the fucking arena, man. They're doing it. Officers, they got to earn it. So there's just this culture behind it. I see a lot of other branches tend to highlight college or other technical opportunities versus here they put a bunch of skulls on commercials and some dude stabbing a sword through a fucking mountain and slicing some dragon's fucking head off. And then they talk about that, like it's like, hey, you go to the Marine Corps to be a Marine. So, and obviously, Manny, you can kind of speak to this too. But again, I think the Marine Corps started in a bar. Yeah. Guys thought they could do it better and said, fuck it. Yeah. And sat in a bar and drank probably what Manny's drinking right now. Said, fuck it, let's do it. How many times I've heard that with like infantry Marines or guys at div school, we're coming up with an idea on how to train and we don't quite have everything we need, but we can jigger rig something. And there's a little pause and then it's, fuck it, let's do it. I mean, there's so much behind that, man. What do you think?
What are your thoughts on that, Manny? Far as
I agree. I agree with Will. I'll tell you what, man. Growing up, I didn't fucking know the Marine Corps had any other jobs. You know what I'm saying? So going back to like when I was fucking being recruited, dude, I had no idea what the Marine Corps was. I just knew it was a fucking gun club. That the only experience that I had from the Marine Corps was, my cousin, one of my mentors, my big brother, he was a recon Marine. And I was going through high school during the time that he was in the invasion and he was going through the Battle of Najaf and with First Recon Battalion. And that's kind of what had the understanding of what the Marine Corps was. So I just fucking thought the Marine Corps was just a group of fucking gunfighters. So for me, when I was going through the recruiting process, I didn't fucking ask for any of the job. I just figured, fuck, if I'm going to join the military, I'm going to join the hardest fucking military to join. And I'm going to do the fucking hardest job that military has to offer. And then once you get into boot camp and then you start realizing like what the fuck's going on, because you don't know what the fuck's going on until like 3 weeks into boot camp, you're like, these motherfuckers are not going to be in the infantry. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you really understand like, okay, I got you. There's a far few in between, where motherfuckers are saying, hey, we're going to be in the fucking infantry. Right. And then it's in boot camp where you realize some dude's like, I'm a fucking, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Dispersing. I'm like, what the fuck is dispersing? Right. Well, I'm the one who fucking handles your pay. Roger. So you start understanding these things, and don't get me wrong, man, those guys are fucking great. All right. Important. Yep. They fucking, without them, obviously we'd be a bunch of fucking, we're already a bunch of drunk bastards, but you know what I mean? They do their job. Shout out to them. No disrespect, but whatever. Once you get into this fucking MOS, you really hone in on it because you understand the history behind everything, right? And the Marine Corps was built off of fucking gunfighters, right? Gunfighters that got together in fucking a bar in 1775 and said, fuck everybody else, we're going to do this on our own. And they really honed in on that. And that's why you see all these other fuck, man, you see the best of the best, as far as operators and dudes that have done it at the highest level, talk about Marines and talk about the infantry and how they're the best fucking group of dudes to fucking operate with in a combat environment. And let me highlight that, okay? And I want to highlight that because I know so many fucking dudes that have gotten out of the Marine Corps and struggled with the political side of the Marine Corps of, keeping their fucking nose clean and, getting into some trouble and not being able to fucking, benefit from 100% of the things that the government has to offer for veterans, due to the fact that they had a hiccup during the Marine Corps and now they have a bad conduct on their fucking paperwork. But these guys are guys that I fucking fought with side by side and knew as the most fucking savage elite motherfuckers that the U.S. military can possibly fucking want in their fucking arsenal as we're in combat. And it kind of sucks that, it happens like that. You know what I mean? It happens like that. So that's one thing that I want to highlight. People just have to understand,
like what you're talking about. It's like it's a certain type of individual. Not only is it a certain type of individual, but now that person has to go somewhere as well. He's got to go into a place inside himself. You already got to be that kind of culture, but now you've got to go here with it when you guys are deploying and you're doing what you're doing. And then to expect a guy, not to have, expect that guy to not drink a little or live life on the edge a little or not get in a couple fights if someone says something weird. That's the hard part, is because you've got to come back and you still have to like coincide within society. And that's really hard. And then this is why I'm glad we're talking about bastards and exposing things, because a lot of the guys you're talking about that are phenomenal in one area, they struggle in others. And a lot of it's their pride. A lot of it's just they don't have the identity, or just the way society looks, at certain people. And then where do you go? Right? You can start you can go into gangs, you can go into alcohol, you can do a lot of different stuff that's not productive for you, which is why, guys like Manny kind of leading the ship and just bastards and what they do, it's huge. And I want you to speak on that too, Manny, because we're talking a lot of the gunfighting, we're talking a lot of bastards and it's badass and the events and just been against the grain. But I do want to shed some light on how well you guys have gotten along with mayors, with governors, with city officials, to just show them, hey, this is a name, but it's our blood, it's our creed, it's where we come from. It's from World War I or World War II, right? And like, hey, there's a meaning behind this. It is completely appropriate, but you guys had to go the extra mile to not make people think you're just going to have a bunch of biker gangs at your bar causing a ruckus, breaking windows in Downey, California, and just being a bunch of damn bastards. You had to let them know, like, hey, that nickname came from this environment. However, this is what we do for our people. This is how we care for the city. This is how we care for our veterans. And this is what we're doing. And I've, you shed some light a couple years ago to me on just what you guys had to do to even get that name approved and just coinciding with some of those officials, man. Can you kind of shed some light on how you guys were able to integrate and then work, in conjunction with a lot of the cities? Because I know you guys are expanding into San Clemente in different places, but just want you to highlight some of that too.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because the typical veteran's always gonna fucking stray away from politics and kind of stay away from all that bullshit because it's a very gray area that nobody's ever fucking right. But one thing that we learned going into business and being in business is that you have to tactically maneuver through the fucking people that have their hands in the pot, and I say that in a good way because I'll tell you what, we pay sales tax. We pay our sales tax. All right. So, the city definitely, is benefiting from us being there. I mean, every city does, right. For their business. But what we realized, as much as we wanted to stay away from, the politics of, operating in a city, we realized that we needed to be involved. And it's funny, myself and Calvin were always the guys that were like kind of taking the back seat on the political side and dealing with the city officials and stuff like that. And Nick was kind of spearheading that all the time just because that's who he is, man. As much as that guy is fucking doesn't want to deal with politics, the dude is a fucking just natural born fucking, leader in the sense of city officials, state officials, and just the guy is just very savvy in that area. But out of need, because of our events, we had to, kind of go legit, right? The events were growing so big.
They were outside your parking lot. Yeah, they were huge.
They were fucking, we had to do things the right way. We had to, submit conditional use permits. We had to submit to the alcohol beverage control. We had to submit everything to these people and deal with them to get these shows going. And along with that is, the initial part of it. Before I jumped on the team and they opened the location, they fucking blasted a banner that says Bastards American Canteen, right? So you could see that people driving by with their fucking, with their kids. Yeah. Were just like, hey man, like this is not cool. So what ended up happening, they actually started the people of the city started a petition to get the name removed from the building, and the city actually was like, hey man, please consider changing your guys' name. We want you guys here because it's better known and operated, but consider it. We want you guys to change your name, blah, blah, blah. One thing I commend, Calvin and Nick doing is just fucking standing their ground, man, is understanding that these two dudes went through some shit to be able to get out and allow and feel like they have the freedom to express themselves and create a place that really hones in the veteran aspect of who they are and what the Marine Corps did for them and how they're going to give back. And that's what it was. They wanted to create a place that paid homage to those to our brothers that fell in combat, and they wanted to do it by that. But it took a lot more than just putting up a name, putting up a sign and saying this is who we are. It was the community outreach. These guys getting out there and really telling that story, right? So it was a really cool story because when all that shit was happening, I was still in Afghanistan, and I ended up going online and reading a Marine Corps Times, or actually I had the Marine Corps Times. I was on fucking, I don't know, Radio Watch or some shit. And there's a newspaper. It's called the Marine Corps Times that the Marine Corps fucking puts out every quarter, and they talk about shit.
Put cool guys like me on there.
Yeah, they have cool guys like fucking G on it. But so on here they have a fucking a headline, combat veterans open up a bar named Bastards, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, holy fucking shit, these are my boys. So right away at the time I jump on fucking Facebook and I'm like, dude, you guys are fucking out here in Afghanistan, right? And he's just like, no shit, cool, fucking, this is amazing. Yeah, great fucking time. It was a really good publicity for them. And from there, it turned from the city signing petitions to remove the name to the city just completely getting behind them because they learned the history of where the name comes from. And on top of that, why this restaurant was built, this brand, like we no longer look at it as a fucking restaurant, why this brand was built. And we'll go into a little bit later as to kind of the other shit that we have going on now outside of the restaurant, but why this brand was built, right? It was to pay homage to those, to our brothers and sisters that didn't make him back. And now we could pay respects by you walk into our restaurant and you see a POW table, you see a wounded in action table, you see a plaque, fucking 35 names on plaques that, of guys who didn't make it, and everything about it says is pretty much paying homage to our roots, man. Where the fuck was Slim, man? It's been the coolest thing because we've made out of that, getting involved with the mayor, city councilman, all of them. We've created mentors like for us, right? He guided us. He guided us. He went to bat for us. Dude went to Temecula with us when we were talking to the city officials over there about opening a place down there. Yeah. And he was just speaking on our behalf. And not everybody gets the mayor in their car to drive an hour and a half down the road to go kind of talk on their behalf, Yeah. And so for us, we were able to kind of shift and say, okay, we're going to kind of choose on how much we get involved, but naturally it's just been so much more. Right now we're seen as a pillar, like, hey, anybody wants to do anything with veterans in Southeast LA, Bastards is involved.
Yeah.
Bastards is involved.
Well, and it's part of it. Like you just have to expose it, right? Like a lot of Marines, maybe it's not fair that you got to go extra and prove something that's already your name and all this stuff. And you could take it however you want. But you have to go that mile if you guys want to operate within a city. But, the other side is just opening up these stories and a lot like Marines. We know what it is walking in. We respect it. But if you really want that to go to scale, what you have to do is you got to expose this to society who doesn't know. You got to tell the story if you want it in the masses, right? And, something I remember one of our staff sergeants was talking about it when one of our sergeants was getting out. And he was a little bummed that the sergeant chose to get out. And this was like 06. And he said, hey, if amazing Marines did not get out of the Marine Corps and go exemplify and just go represent themselves outside and people know that they came from the Marine Corps, nobody would know about it. And it's true. So what you guys are doing with Bastards and just being willing to go those extra miles with the city and get involved with the community and do things in that aspect, it sheds light to the rest of society out there what Bastards is. And this starts becoming pinnacle because now when you guys are opening up other shops, it brings a lot of revenue. It brings a lot of pride and a lot of things that veterans need is every once in a while they need that identity. They got to be able to go somewhere and talk to somebody or be healthy. But it also brings in a lot of revenue. You guys also have a lot of fans that aren't just veterans that bring money in, and that's huge.
And this is another example, man, of how a huge potential setback for you guys ended up being a huge opportunity because I promise you, if you didn't have that pushback from the city, you wouldn't have been able to educate them. You wouldn't have been able to. You would have no need to go meet these people and meet the mayor. Yeah. And now you have their support. So it ended up having that kind of rebound effect. Started as pushback and then turned to complete support, which is probably a big part of why you guys have been able to grow like you have. But again, guys, just the lesson I want to point out there is you're taking these opportunities or these potential
conflicts,
terrible things, right? Oh, I got to be a busser. Oh, now I moved in this position, but now fuck, the city's coming after us. Yeah. And just by persevering and moving forward and getting creative and being resourceful, it's actually ended up being huge for you guys. Huge step ups.
And it's it's a constant, right? Like you guys, the way you guys run Bastards, the culture there, nobody fucks around. Like I've been to a couple of your events. It's fun. It's a great time. People have a great time, but they get in and they get out, and like when it's time to clean up, it's time to clean up. And something that's important there is it doesn't matter what you tell a city. If you got people breaking windows and starting fights and acting crazy, it doesn't matter how nice you try to say it. The representation that you say you are, in your brand is on the line. Like it now has to be a constant. So obviously, like everyone that just hangs out and just comes around, how did you guys set the tone? Like what do you guys do with security? How do you guys operate these events to making sure that you don't have anybody out of control that could tarnish, your name?
Yeah, man. So we ended up having to really focus on the quality of production that we were putting together to facilitate these events. Where before it was like the homies, you know what I mean? Yeah. But that's where we were bringing in 300 people.
Yep.
But what ended up happening, man, through that time was people started, veterans started gravitating towards us. And these veterans, and we talk about networking all the time, right, as businessmen, veterans, we had a lot of guys who were working for security companies. We were having a lot of guys that were working for production companies, having a lot of guys that were working for a lot of these companies that we were actually needing to facilitate our events. And then what we did, I mean, we move very tactically, man. And that's one thing that I give it up to our team, is we understand the importance of networking. And what happens, we were able to build a lot of relationships with guys, local guys who were veterans, Marine Corps veterans, who wanted to be a part of something bigger than, because in the area, in Southeast LA, Downey area, down in that area, you don't see a lot of military presence, right? Everything is more towards Oceanside, San Clemente, San Diego, 29 Palms, the big bases, right?
So what's in Southeast LA? There, Ice Cube.
That's it, man. No, but I mean, these guys, they really fucking took pride in being part of something that they could call their home, So our support system grew, and it grew within guys that had validity as far as fucking jobs, running security companies. So what ended up happening is, I mean, we had fucking LAPD, fucking Marine Corps vets from LAPD who do fucking side gigs, put together, security teams who now run our events. And these guys, I mean, they're on fucking lockdown, bro. I mean, these guys are roaming through our events. They're making sure everything's running smoothly. And I mean, that's the first part. The second part is the thing that I'm most proud of, man. And this goes across the board with restaurant operations and events, because those are our two main pillars right now. And our restaurant and events, the crowd that we bring in, right? Whether it be in civilians or whether it's ex-military or fucking, active military, people feel the sense of being able to police themselves within our establishment, whether it's events or at fucking Bastards. I mean, people really do police themselves, man. If you got 3 dudes in there and one of them's acting up, dude, it's the vibe that you get there, man. Your boys are like naturally like, yo, lock it the fuck up, bro. This is not the place for it. We're sitting here, we're having some beers. Our boys' names are on the wall. Yeah. We're paying respect. Like, we're just trying to get this good ambiance. So, people police themselves in our establishment and at our events. The number of incidents we've had are fucking very small, and it allows us to go in front of the fucking the city planners and say, hey, we're going to put an event on in 2 weeks. Yep. And they're like, well, you're supposed to put it 30 days out. Put it in for 30 days out. And we're like, all right, cool. Well, we're going to fucking do it in 2 weeks. So let's make it happen. But the only reason they say they go to bat for us and they allow us to do it is because the product that we put out, right? One, we bring the veteran community back into Southeast LA, Downey area. Okay. And 2, what we do with those events. Yeah. We not only bring veterans back into the community, but we stimulate everybody around us, man, because we're in a downtown hub. So everybody around us, bars, restaurants. So when you bring 4,000 motherfuckers into the downtown area on let's say November 10th is on a fucking Tuesday, guess what? These restaurants and bars that are making $4,000 or $5,000 in sales, that day they're making $20,000 to $25,000 in sales.
Right, because we bar hop. I remember like the last couple times I was out there for events, we ended up going to that place next door and the other place next door. And it was a great time.
We show everybody love, man.
Yeah, and I think people realize that. And I also think, this is just a testament to culture. Anytime you have people saying, hey, cut that shit out. This isn't the place for it. They know, hey, if we start acting like knuckleheads, not only are we all getting kicked out, but we're risking the establishment. But when it's grown within, when you've got Marine Corps infantrymen that are putting events on and putting up bars and canteens up for other infantrymen for a place, man, it's just respected. And there's a culture there. And that's a testament to the culture is, hey, we've got to police our own, And I'll be honest, too, when you've got like prior veteran or prior Marine Corps police officers or security guys that are going to be there, something I learned as a cop, and it was never me. Like, you can't go into a situation and escalate it. If I ever got into fights as a cop where things were just melee, it was there to begin with. What you want to do as a cop is not overdo things. And there are some cops around that don't understand veterans.
Yeah.
that don't necessarily know what's a trigger, what's not a trigger. When you have other veterans that happen to be police that are coming to support this, they know when to chill. They know when to go, hey, bro, can't do that right now. Versus some other cops that maybe don't have that background that are looking to cause some shit or have that control, to be that control freak or have one up on a veteran and maybe come off a little brash, which doesn't work well. But just having those guys, not only in law enforcement, but prior Marines, they just know the lingo. They know how to like, hey, man, I'm a cop here and I want to lay low and make sure we're all good. I'm not going to make something worse than it is. How fluid that goes when you're just not making a situation bigger than it has to be, especially with half-drunk Marines. If you're a knucklehead and you want to be that control freak or that weirdo cop, we saw it in Denver. Like just some guys you can actually go on scene. Like I remember there's a couple cops, man, they show up on scene. You're like, yo, this guy right here, he needs to get the fuck off of my call. Because this, like, he makes it worse, and you don't want those guys there, especially with veterans. So having other veteran police officers that put their time into it, that's awesome. That's phenomenal. So
it's cool to see, man. It's definitely cool to see. Because along with that, a lot of people don't know. A lot of these police officers, they have side gigs as well. You know what I mean? A lot of these dudes, and we have teamed up with them and highlighted them. Because you remember, Will, when at our events we actually invite veteran businesses to come set up shop. So they set up their pop-up and they sell their product. They sell everything,
shirts,
these fucking
hats.
veteran entrepreneurs, man.
I came from Denver when I was with that fitness company, Fit Republic. We came out.
You went out there. Yeah, you went out there. You set up shop.
It was great for content. It was just fun.
It's a great time, man. And it's for us, we realized that we just got really fucking good at throwing parties.
I was the best bartender, by the way.
What's that?
I remember being back there. We got so busy. I ended up being And when I say I was a bartender, let me be super honest about what I'm saying here. By bartender, I mean I'm out back in the back parking lot, because the whole parking lot, and it's big, was taken over for the event. Yeah. And I'm at one of those mobile trailers that have everything on tap. So I was just trying to like not put too much head in a beer. That's it. And I was fucking that up. For half the night. Handfuls of Marines were just mad at my beer, bro. Because they gotta give me one of their beer tokens. I remember Rosie, she's awesome. And her husband, just great folks. They always came up and helped you guys out. And I remember, I'm like doing it, and she's like, hey, can I show you how to do that? And I was like, yeah. She's like, look. And I'm just like, oh shit, man.
Bartending's hard, man.
Nah, to get it. And then I was good. I was cute. I was tan. I was on point. I was a one-trick pony, homie. I was getting it done. I was having fun, but it's just one of those vibes you kind of have to experience.
Yeah, that's what makes everything special, man, because that's where it started. I mean, now we get volunteers for all our events, and, we get paid volunteers for our events, but it didn't start like that, man. It didn't start like that. The first few events, it was like
homies
Nick and Calvin's homies, bro, just running bar, and they know who they are. They're listening. And then, and then I got my crew from San Diego to come down every event, bro. They would work like fucking 10 hours behind the bar, just slinging fucking drinks.
Speaking of that,
Rosie's watching right now. She goes, excuse me, I was the best bartender.
I know. Rosie, if you're listening, you were. I was saying you taught me. Hopefully she comments again, because I'm like, hey, Rosie, you taught me how to do it. I'm giving you the credit. And then after she taught me how to do it, I was like, oh, bet. I was like, I got it. I was cute. And by cute, I mean like I thought I was the shit.
There you go.
She's definitely the shit. We had a great time. And
it's special to see, man. It's very, very special to see.
But a lot of homies, man, they've always like, when I was around, when I would go to the events, it was just that. It was a bunch of your guys' friends just putting in work to get it done, just family grown. And something I want to speak about, touch as much on this as you like. Some people have heard of Calvin, because that kind of hit me, a friend. But I've also voiced on the podcast that, hey, I wasn't closest to him. He's got family and brothers in California. It was when he passed, I felt like I was going through that transition. I was brand new to real estate. I'm driving a car that's not mine. I'm in some stupid tie I don't even know if I like. I heard, and it just hit me like, man, like even guys that are in a place that are having fun. And this is when we were thinking about, man, was I going to go to California? Was I not? Was I going to stay in Denver? It was right around that time, and it was, the dust was settling on a couple different things, and I was just having a rough go with some stuff. And then he ended up passing away, and it's like, man, guys that are even in the best moments that are doing their thing, aren't even staying. And again, not my closest friend, and I don't want to make it something it's not. Manny can speak more to this, but for some reason, like him passing away hit me hard, right? And literally, after I heard the word from you, I'm on my way home, and that's when Kate tells me we're pregnant with Cash. And it just kind of knocked the wind out of me, because I'm like, I'm in pain for you guys. And I'm going to get to my question I want you to hit on, because I think it's the reality behind some of this stuff. But it was just it was a moment of transition for me to really just put some things in perspective, and hey, now you're going to be a father to a boy. And what does that look like? And how do you want it to look like? And what are you attacking? And I put my head down. I got to work. And, man, you and I have been talking since day one, dude. Day $1, $0. And from then on, man, we hit, that year, we hit top 1% in the nation. Then the following year, top 0.5%. But a lot of it started with that friction point and just transitioning forward and keeping my head down and just attacking every day. But here's what most people don't think. And you can talk about him passing away if you'd like to, but what I really want to hear about, and it's not the fun side to talk about, but it's the reality. A man goes down. The mission is still there. Okay, so if a squad of Marines loses a couple Marines on a deployment, it's not like fucking Mario's going to shoot through some fucking green tube and all of a sudden you got 3 more Marines and now you still got 15 going on patrol. Yeah. No, you're down 3, which means guys are having to pick up the load for those 3 guys, and it's hard. So not only was him passing away devastating to you guys and to his family and unexpected, but you and Nick still have to rally together, and you still got to hack the load of the growth, right? With the second shop that you guys are looking at opening. I think you guys are still opening it. I'll let you speak to that, but you guys were like at the pinnacle, not a pinnacle, but you guys were on your way up with growth and expansion and a lot going on and just the events, and he passes away. But again, most people feel sorry for that. What they haven't heard or what they can't speak to is the show must go on, and what it looked like, the struggle, the friendship that you and Nick have to maintain, to being there for each other through that time. I'll be honest, that's the one time I called you, man. I can't remember how long after you told me what happened. I gave it some time, and just try not to be selfish. I gave it some time. I got my head down. I was getting to work, doing my thing. And I remember I called you back. It had to be a couple weeks later. That was the only time I've ever heard you shook on the phone. Like you were not shook like scared, but just you were gassed, like you weren't quitting. You weren't failing, but you were just, and I knew, and when I heard you gassed on the phone, I knew why. Because I knew you as a Marine. You always were there for everyone else. You always shoulder a ton, and somehow you figure out how to shoulder a lot of that and handle it while you're still handling your own. But I don't know if you had very many outlets to go to someone. You were always kind of like that guy that everybody came and talked to. And, I wonder, like, if you want to speak to some of that, what that transition, looked like. And I think it's important for entrepreneurs, veterans, guys like Eli and I who've been through some stuff together. That is where things really start to solidify and grow, man. And I think it's worth a conversation if you're open to it.
No, absolutely, man. So we were January 2018, and we were starting the new year off. I still have the text message, and we're in a group text, myself, Nick, and Calvin. And that year was, it just felt good. 2018 felt good. Going into 2018 felt good. And January timeframe, and then we get on New Year's, myself, Nick, get a text from Calvin on the group text saying, like, "Hey, Happy New Year's, boys. It's going to be a great fucking year." And we, obviously we respond like, "Fuck yeah, I'm stoked. Let's get after it, boys." Right. And, just so you understand the level of meaning that had, I mean, these are 2 guys that we're moving forward in life together. Right. So my decisions that I'm making in life are including them. Their decisions that they're making in life are including myself. Right. And so at the time, my son was about 6 months. And so it's January, we're getting ready to kick off the year. Temecula was at the brinks of just starting to build out.
So Temecula is our second location that they've been building.
Yeah, that's our second location. So we're super excited about it. Calvin had just locked down a lease down in Lake House North to move closer to Temecula location. We're kind of spread loaded, so we can all kind of just maneuver within the two locations. So everything was good, man. We were super excited about it. And I remember on January 27th, at dinner with my family, and it felt weird. We're leaving the restaurant, and I get a text from Nick. I'm driving. I'm actually going we're heading back home, and I get a text from Nick's just saying, "Hey, have you heard from Calvin?" Text message that I've gotten 1,000 times before, because that was Calvin. Calvin just fucking didn't answer his phone when he didn't want to, right? We call him the biggest skater. When I got that text, man, it was about 7:30 in the evening, and I was just like, and Calvin was actually, he had the evening shift that night, and I just felt something about that text. It was just weird, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? You feel this fucking weird vibe on it, right? So I just text back. I said, "No, I haven't heard from you." You know what I'm saying? And then I get a call back maybe about 2 minutes later from Nick saying, "Hey, man, I get a text back saying, 'Hey, we talked to his brother. He's in his room sleeping.'" Cool. Fucking Roger. Still kind of felt weird because I get a phone call. And when I got that phone call, which again, I've gotten phone calls from Nick thousands of times at that point, and I feel this like fear and worry and just kind of this nasty gut feeling. And I answer the phone, and he's just like, "Hey, dude, I can't find anybody. I can't find him, but our buddy just called me saying that there was an accident, a motorcycle accident, that he just passed by." Shit. And it looked like Calvin's motorcycle.
Shit.
Right. Yeah. So at that point, I kind of go into denial. I'm driving at this point. I'm still driving. Mm-hmm. I'm going into denial, and then I end up pulling over. And when I pull over, I let someone else drive. I think it was, I let someone else drive. And as they're driving, I'm calling like every hospital, right, in LA, like every emergency room. I'm calling, Calvin Spencer. I'm giving them the name. They're like, "No, we don't have nobody. We don't have nobody." So, right at that point, I get home. I come inside. No, I get a phone call from Nick, and I answer, and he's, I've never heard him like this, right? He's choked up, and he's just like, "It's him. But there was nothing in my body that said that was him. I was still in denial. Then just, no, it's not it. I hang up the phone. I get home, and I end up getting a phone call from our buddy who was on site. He's actually on site, and I'm talking to him on the phone. And it's crazy. I've never told this story in depth, but I'm out front of my house, and I'm talking to him on the phone, and he's there telling me, like, "I don't know, man. Like, I'm looking at his bike. It looks like his bike. It looks like, it looks like the scene." So he ends up getting the license plate, his legit license plate number for the bike, and reads it out loud. From the paper and matches it to the license plate number of the bike. At that point, I remember him saying, "It's him." That was the first time in my entire life that I had felt kind of this, just something come over my body. I dropped down. I kind of dropped down to my knees, and I just start bawling, right? Because it doesn't really hit me, but it's just kind of this natural instinct that just kind of started happening of just disbelief, right? So I kind of just start bawling, and then my son's mom like puts her arms under me and just kind of lifts me up, and I just take off. I take off on a walk. So I take off on a walk, and I'm trying to process this thing, man, because it just hasn't hit me yet. Because there's no way your best friend, the guy you're next to every single day, on the phone with every single day, your business partner, right? 1/3 of the three-headed monster. It's just, it's not there anymore. So I'm walking, and then we end up driving back down to Downey to the restaurant to meet up with everybody. And it's dark, like everything. It's just, I don't know, man, the whole city felt like they felt it, right? Because one thing that you have to know about Calvin was, and we talk about it all the time, if it was myself or Nick that had passed, the city wouldn't have reacted the way they did. And that's just because that's not a bad thing. It's just the level and the impact that this one person, this one soul, how he is as a man, as an individual, the impact that he had on people, right? And just driving into the city was just dark, eerie. I go to the restaurant. It's just fucking weird, man. I'd never experienced it in my life. And what that looked like at the time was that was on the 27th of January. Okay. We ended up, I think like that next day we shut the doors to the restaurant, and then a few guys flew down, and we were kind of just trying to fucking put our heads together on what was going to happen and how we were going to move forward on. Had nothing to do with Bastards. Bastards was the last thing we were thinking about. We didn't give a fuck, man. We didn't give a fuck at that point because we lost like the glue that held everything together, you know? Mm-hmm. So I couldn't even get past like that, right? And Nick couldn't either. And we were sitting there and everybody's just like all eyes on us. What the fuck's going to happen, right? And, you know, we hear, hey guys, take your time. And then we also hear the opposite of like, hey guys, you guys have to open in respect of, you know, of the homie and this and that. And like a lot of these things are happening at that point, and all we are doing is just trying to process the fact that not our business partner, not our fucking, you know, just our best friend fucking tragically passed away. And at the same time dealing with, you know, all the admin stuff that came with that, right? Helping the family, you know, because he was not only the glue that held Bastards together, he was the glue that held his family together. Mm-hmm. So now we felt the need to, you know, contribute to being able to facilitate all the admin stuff that was happening for his, you know, for his arrangements. So the last thing that was on our mind was Bastards, man. But that was the first thing on everybody's mind because everybody attributed Calvin to Bastards, right? Because you don't know Bastards without Calvin and vice versa. And for us, it wasn't like that, right? For us, it was just our fucking boy, my homie who I sat on a red bench in fucking 2005 while being interrogated by the fucking command because Nick was on the line for fucking a felony charge. You know what I mean? And so that's what I was reverting back to. It wasn't about Bastards, man. It was about just my homie, my fucking best friend, my brother, a dude that, you know, it was insane, man. It was an insane time. But it came to time where once we were able to put Calvin down to rest, and myself, what was crazy was he passed away on the 27th. My birthday's on the 29th, and then Nick's birthday's on the 1st.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So we after all of that, we were able to put him down and put him to rest. And then we got back to work. But let me highlight this, man. We shut down the restaurant for maybe a few days. Okay. And the reason why we reopened, one, there was I would say maybe over 1,000 pieces of flowers and just commemorative just items that were placed on the building for paying and respects of Calvin. So we felt like we had to open. But I want to highlight the fact that the only reason that we stayed open and were able to operate is because our managers at the time, they fucking pulled it together. And these are guys and girls that were groomed and influenced and mentored by Calvin. And they pulled it together and opened doors and operated every single day, leading the charge of the restaurant because people felt that they needed the restaurant open to stay connected to the passing of Calvin. Mm-hmm. So shout out. I mean, I give these guys praise all the time, man, and these guys are still my managers. They're still a huge part of our team, and they're moving up. A lot of them have very well moved up. But yeah, man, I mean, Chandler, which our general manager now, you know, she had just a huge impact on Calvin's life, and he had it on her life, and she stayed and she operated the restaurant. Tony, our executive chef, man, who was groomed by Calvin, he just every day working, man. And we didn't allow them to grieve. Almost like, hey, figure it out on how to grieve, but operate the restaurant. And they fucking did it, because me and Nick, our heads weren't in that. And they said, you know what, we got it. We'll fucking take care of it. You guys deal with our boy, lay on the rest. We got the restaurant. Without them, dude, it would have been done.
Who knows?
You know, our restaurant wouldn't have been fucking open for months, you know, because that wasn't our priority, right? Our priority was just trying to wrap our head on everything. And honestly, I'll tell you what, moving forward, we still haven't grieved to this day, man, because what we did following all the arrangements and laying on the rest, me and Nick really put our heads together and said, what the fuck would Calvin want us to do right now? Yeah. And this guy's personality, his fucking aura, the way he spoke to you, the way he saw life, he wouldn't want anything other than just continue to push forward. Mm-hmm. Mission priority. Bastards was his life. Mm-hmm. That was his fucking life, dude. This dude ate fucking, he everything about him was Bastards. So for us, we said, all right, we must continue the mission. That was obviously with support of all the community, really just pouring out that love. But we put our heads together and we said, all right, now we have a bigger reason, our why. Will talks about the why all the fucking time, right? What's your why? But one thing is that your why sometimes changes. Yeah. Or it just, or you scale or you add, right? And for us, we added to our why. Our why was always to create a fucking empire, to love life with our best friends and live the best life we possibly can for our families, our loved ones, and our fucking people. But now we added to the why, which kind of beefed up, you know, the reasoning why we fucking get up every single day.
It's huge,
and that's
man.
because that was Calvin's goal, man. That was his mission. That's what he would want. So we got our heads together and we said, all right, man, let's push. We'll fucking grieve when we get a chance, right? And when we're fucking done, because that's just Calvin's mentality, man. Mm-hmm. Rough around the edges, but literally the most legit dude you'll ever fucking meet.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to you guys too, right? Like when we talk about culture, just people picking up where you needed to, like we talked about. Hey, you lose guys in an infantry squad, nobody's beaming there. You lose 3 guys, you lose 3 guys. You're not just getting more people, you know. And like you guys lose Calvin, he's got his responsibilities, but people just picking it up, you know, to allow you guys a little bit of time to at least, you know, to bury him. And then just a culture behind people knowing what to do like that without having to be told. They just know, like when you're a family and something happens and they know there's a certain impact somewhere, they're not asking permission. They're going to knock some things out and they're going to take care of it. And I think that's what we do when you've got culture behind your business. I think that's important. I also think it's important that you guys did, because every fallen Marine you guys recognize in a Bastards. Imagine if that stopped with Calvin. I don't think he would want that. I think the ideology behind Bastards in the first place was to shed some light on guys who were wounded, guys who had passed away, and just shedding light on these guys' stories. And if it stopped with Calvin, I don't think he would have wanted that. I think he's another story that gets to be like one of these stories as far as being a pioneer to just push a lot of this stuff out. And look, dude, the only guy to look cool in a kilt, I promise you that. I promise you that,
man.
And he'd come up to me and like, yo, why you so buff? I'm like, Calvin, shut the fuck up, bro. He's like, no, bro.
Yeah, man, that's
why
him.
you so buff? Just wants to make you feel. He's just Cali cool. California cool.
Man.
Doesn't have to say much. I got to say a lot to intrigue you. If I intrigue you, right? This cat give you a look and just, hey man, why are you so buff? Yeah. You're like, oh, Calvin, Calvin, you think I'm? No, wait, come on, man, be for real. You think I'm buff?
Yeah,
but just
dude, people gravitated towards him, man.
Yeah,
people naturally gravitated towards him, and it was just like I said, he was rough around the edges. He's a fucking biker, you know. He loved being on his motorcycle, but the thing that he was so fucking proud of, man, was paying respects and really honoring his brothers. Because the dude lost a lot, man. The dude lost, I mean, starting as a young kid, I mean, he lost his pops as a kid, you know, and then going into Ramadi in 06 wasn't the best fucking time of his life. Nope. You know, he lost some dudes there. And then even post Marine Corps, he lost, you know, lost one of his senior Marines, you know, to what we deal with post-traumatic stress. And so the dude has lost a lot, but one thing he was very, very proud of, man, was honoring them. Yeah. And honestly, man, more than anybody I've known. Fuck, man. And as much as I don't like to take away from anybody, you know what I mean? But honestly, I've never met anybody who really lived every single day for the brothers that he served with and that he lost literally every single day, man. And you look at all his social media, it was all about that, man. It was all about positivity, the fucking Dodgers, the Kings, and his boys. You know what I mean? And the guy, he was a true testament to what a loyal fucking Marine veteran who was just, dude, we were having such a fucking blast. I mean, we weren't making at the time, we weren't making a ton of money, man. Mm-hmm. We were all working on fucking shit tips and no pay. But dude, we were having the time of our lives because we were able to see the bigger picture because we believed in each other. And that's one thing that I try to preach. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not one of those dudes that fucking, is constantly listening to motivational speakers. I just base it on the people that I double down in, bro. And a lot of people talk about double down on yourself all the time as an entrepreneur. I agree, man. But what worked for me is I've doubled down on my fucking partners. Mm-hmm. I doubled down on Calvin and Nick, and I changed my ways, my life, my path to double down on them. And it was life-changing for me, man. And it was something that I don't see myself doing anything else because I doubled down on them. I got something
on that too. And that's a great point because it leads right into some stuff that I want to talk about. We got some funny stories, but Eli and I talk about it. And one thing that Eli speaks to, and I'm sure you can continue to speak to it, is healthy friction of conflict not being bad. Like just certain conversations that are not fun, but they're super productive. But then again, like that camaraderie being forged in adversity, overcoming a lot of stuff, amongst each other, and that teamwork and camaraderie and brotherhood. We know it. And I try to highlight this as much as I can to like the civilian sector as best as I can, because people think brotherhood is like you liking all my pictures and patting me on the ass and telling me that everything I do is cool. Right. No, that's not it. Now, you don't have to always make fun of everything I do unless that's just your style. Maybe you are that style. But the bottom line is we've got some fun stories from division schools. I'm sure you got some stories, from Bastards, but, I definitely want to hit on not all conflict being negative, right? And like friction being positive, even if the guy has to take a breath. But Elon and I, we've got to a point because he probably knows I'll double tap his ass. But we're in a place where we're not breaking up, right? Yeah. Like, hey, we're together.
You ain't double tapping nobody.
Hey, bro,
I got my money on Eli, bro. I bet this motherfucker is.
Let me
secret weapon right here, dude.
So speaking of camaraderie,
guarantee the dude knows karate.
Oh shit,
he knows jiu-jitsu and he's Jewish.
There you go.
Don't know. But here's the deal.
Fuck you up.
See, now, Manny being Manny said that to me my entire life. It didn't matter who I was up against. Like he was gonna, just like Shantosh.
Yeah.
Will not overly compliment, but like direct the attention to you, knowing I want some of the attention. He won't fucking give it to me.
Yep.
Manny's the same way. Manny's like, nah,
awesome.
bro.
I love your friends, dude, by the way. I need to talk to more of them. They just make me feel great.
I didn't say they're friends. I said they're brothers. There's a fucking difference. I promise you that. But it's needed, right? And like we do, we bust each other's balls and we have a great time. But if you're not proficient, someone's going to say something. But then on the flip side of that is, friction, just hard conversations and going and growing through business. I think a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of businesses that don't have the camaraderie that we've been given, or I guess earned in the Marine Corps, they can't taste healthy conflict, man, and just trials and tribulations that you go through. I think a lot of people think that it's partners are like, again, man, like the brotherhood of like everyone's patting you on the ass and everything you say is cool, and like, no, probably 10% of the shit you do might be cool if they give you some credit. But like, for example, here's a story. Fucking Manny, we're at division schools. We're the op force, so we're out in like a huge urban environment. This is one of the final effects is, and we're instructors, so we're going into the town as the opposition, right? As the enemy. Okay. And it's nonstop. It's day and night all the time. We're doing rotations. We're out slaying students. That's when we have fun to show the students that us Marine Corps instructors, we just do it better. You're not going to beat us. So, we're doing that. And no one, again, chip on your shoulder, Marines, like no one wants to go to sleep. No one wants to like call it a night, and except for Gunny Scott, fucking guy. We'll get to him in a minute. But everyone wanted to stay up. No one wants to be the bitch falling asleep. So we're all staying up and going through rotations and slaying students going through the city. And dude, I'm falling asleep. I'm tired. Now I'm tired because I didn't put more work into setting up that day. I was doing all the heavy lifting while these guys were napping in the truck.
That is a fucking great story.
So it's cold. It believe it or not, it gets cold in California. It gets cold in the mountains of Camp Pendleton. It gets real cold. So I think JT's out like grilling up a squirrel or something weird. Pedo, you know who Pedo, man, like had similarities to Calvin as far as like, at least from my observation, like they didn't necessarily say a lot, but just he always gravitated to him. Peter was another Marine of ours, and he had a bunch of Halloween candy. That was my problem, man, because I was fed. I was kind of watching my diet. Remember, I'd bring my fucking food to work, and I was eating Halloween candy.
We would carpool to work, bro.
I know, but I would
live right next to each other.
I know, but I would bring my shit. I remember I had my chicken and rice, this dumb shit, and so I had a ton of sugar that day or that evening. And dude, they set up a fire. Guardiola sets up a fire. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'll sit by this fire. All right, let me sit up. I'm not going to fall asleep, bro. I guess you call it bobbing for apples. We call it bobbing for cock in the Marine Corps. Because you're falling asleep like this. Of course, right? Like, bro, these fucking assholes don't say a word to me, bro. I literally start falling asleep into the fire. We have a fire in an ammo can.
Ammo can, yeah. And you touch the ammo can in your hands.
Bro, I felt myself kind of falling asleep, but I felt my hands on something. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Fucking burning my hands on this ammo can. My God. These fucking assholes,
bro,
staring at me, literally waiting for me to do it, bro.
You just fall shit face like first into the fucking
that
ammo
shit was
can.
Hilarious, man.
Bro.
And dude, those. I mean, you think back at all the stories, man, and I think I'll tell you what, and I tell everybody, if I could have done the job that we were doing at division schools for fucking 20 years, I'd still be in the fucking Marine Corps right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was such a fun time for us, man. And if you look back at that group of individuals, and what came out of that, it's insane, dude. The level of fucking dudes that they are now, right? Like what they're doing in life and shit like that. But I mean, at the time, we were a bunch of fucking mid-20-year-old fucking corporals and sergeants. Our responsibility was the class that we had on deck, man. But I mean, we just had a fucking blast, dude. Yeah. What was special about that course, and I don't know if you remember, G, but we didn't fall under TCOM. Now, the Marine Corps, just kind of put it in perspective, but the Marine Corps, the formal schools, they fall under a certain curriculum that they have to follow, right? And Marine Corps headquarters, those assholes up there, they come up with, the tactics that you got to teach at these formal schools, the tests that you got to put out for these formal schools, all this bullshit, right? Well, at the school that we were teaching at, and fucking Tosh was our director, we didn't fall under TCOM. So because we didn't fall under TCOM, it allowed the small unit leaders, us, the instructors, to develop a curriculum for the course, right? So the reason why we developed what we developed was because we were basing it off of experiences, right? How we were operating in Iraq, how we were operating in Afghanistan, how we were operating in, fucking Southeast Asia at the time, right? So we were able to develop a course based on our own experiences. And it was really cool because guys were getting sent to school, and guys were bringing that knowledge back. Guys were getting sent on fucking deployment, bringing that knowledge back. And we were able to develop something and call it our own. And the awesome part about it was Tosh was the highest dude. Johnson was the highest dude. Our directors, they were the highest dudes that we shot it up to. You know what I mean? Yeah. Tosh would be like fucking ominous dominus with his fucking hands in his pockets and no shirt on. And he'd
shredded, bro. Shredded back then.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. It sounds good, boys. You know what I mean? And so we were able to take those tactics that we were teaching and apply them to our course, right? Not having influence from Marine Corps headquarters, fucking TCOM, Marine Corps Warfighting Lab.
It was just down to what even guys that were like, I remember students sometimes coming through that just gotten off a deployment and they were like, hey, we're seeing this. And you would see instructors like, hey, talk about that. Because it's like, hey, you got some of the most relevant information. Yeah. We can make some tactics around it, but you just got back. Something's already changed. Talk about it. I mean, it was literally like, you didn't have the circus of like for example, the police academy. there's some shit you got to go through in the police academy. That's just politics and the way they train you. Then you go to the street, and for 3.5 months, you get a cop on the street, and he goes, hey, now I'm gonna show you how we really do all that, all that judo shit you were doing in the academy on the mats. So doesn't work like that because people are actually fighting you. Let me teach you how we actually do it. Let me teach you how we approach this. Division schools was kind of like a hybrid. It was like a school, but straight to the point at the same time. Right. And it was a lot of fun, man. I mean, but it was also like, man, like everyone had something to prove. Like when JT was on here, and he talked about me kind of becoming like a lead instructor and just that chip on my shoulder of having something to prove. That's why Tosh would kind of like let you have a long leash because he wasn't there to get in your shit. He knew you were proficient. You don't go to div schools to slack. Some guys did. But you don't go there to do that. And if they slacked, it'd be like for a day or two. Most people, man, they were just on board. They want to train Marines. And you hung out like as much as you wanted to hate each other. Like, bro, JT and I would get into an argument, or I'd like somebody would like say something to me, and I'd have something to prove to someone that day. And then Manny, he'd be like, "Hey, doggy, shut the fuck up. Get in the truck." So we had a 45-minute drive home out of base, out of the fucking mountains of Camp Pendleton.
G's so pissed, fucking fired up the whole way.
So you know what he would do? He would give me a 45-ounce Red Bull. I'm like, "Hey, doggy, we're going to the gym. Don't stress. It's all good, bro." And we would drive to San Clemente in his truck and that friendship. And I remember, I think the first time we might have got a little drunk together. You remember Broho Bitches?
Oh shit, that was PB.
Pacific Beach. We were out with our girlfriends, just kind of double dating all of it, and we're half drunk. We're in a good time, and like,
dude,
bros are like the guys who flip their bills up. Not just those guys, but just to start. I know, you get it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, then you got girls. That kind of act like that too.
Yeah. Emulate that.
We call them brohos.
Flat brim hats and
allegedly,
big eyeliner.
Yep.
Allegedly, I might have thrown a flat brim taco out of a window at one of them as we were leaving PB. That was a good time.
Yeah,
that was a good time.
Yeah, man. Dude, Division schools. It was such a good time, man. Because, I mean, I think what made it an even better time was just the caliber of dudes that we had in there, and just the cohesiveness. And we talk about cohesiveness like in everything we do, right? Yourself, you and fucking Will. It's a level of operating that you can push to the limit, right? I mean, dude, we would sit there and we would fucking work like if we had a course on deck, there was no break time, right? I think one year we went back-to-back courses the whole year, right?
I think it was a whole year. I mean, because we had training days. So when you had to schedule ranges and do stuff on base, there's other people out there, other units that are using stuff. So if Friday was booked, but you need to get this range done because you got to find
one. You got to fucking find one.
Because you only had so many training days. Yeah. So that means cool. Yeah. So we're here Saturday. We're here Sunday. Yep. You just go straight through.
Well, and what's interesting to that too, that I love and I think is part of like, the magic sauce to what you guys do is you guys want to perform for each other. Yeah. Where I think a lot of partnerships end up, even just between civilians, that it's like, man, and I was talking to a buddy yesterday and he was asking about our partnership and how that's all working out. And I'm like, what's funny, man? Because he's talking about getting a partner.
Partnership.
And,
you hear that, Manny?
But what's funny is I'm like, first of all, man, I'm like, finding somebody that matches your work ethic is critical. But I said, what's funny about Will and I, and this seems like as you're telling your story about like everyone's trying to stay up late and stuff, it's almost like, I think a lot of civilians, they're trying to do the least amount possible to get a result, and then they're stopping there. Whereas when you have this brotherhood, I guess we'll say, you're almost trying to like outperform each other in a healthy, positive way for the other person. Not outperform the person to say, hey, I did more than you, but you when both people are trying to do as much as they can for the better cause
without stomping on one another.
Yep. It's like that. It's the healthiest kind of, I don't like use the word competition. It's like the healthiest kind of competition ever.
It's competition.
it's fucking dope, dude. And I'll tell you why, because me and Nick, that's how we operate, man.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because we know each other's capabilities, right? And we know when we're not performing or we're, we got something going on, we know how to get ourselves to that level of like, hey, I know Nick's dealing with some shit. but I need him to perform, right? Same thing. And when he's like, hey, I know Manny, I know he's going through some shit, but I know what to say, what to do to get him to perform. And 9 out of 10 times, it's just fucking going balls to the wall and me realizing like, damn, Nick's getting after it. I got to get after it.
He probably don't even have to say shit, huh?
Nah, he
you
does
just see
it, bro.
Right.
He's like, and I'm like, fuck, I got to get after it because, you know what I mean? We just have that sense of pride of like, look, I have to perform for you. You have to perform for me. And that's how this shit grows.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And just by you performing and maybe even just saying like, hey, don't worry about it. I got it. But really meaning it, being like, hey, take that day off because we really do mean it. Yeah. If I know he needs a day off. Hey, I got it. I'll fucking take care of it. But it does something to us, right?
It does.
So that's because of who we are and how we're bred as far as like, nah, man, I gotta do what the fuck I gotta do to be at that standard that you're setting right now. And, you know, but like you said, Eli, it's healthy.
Yep.
It's healthy because you're able to kind of check that ego of like, hey man, this is the left side of my brain. This is my fucking left. You know what I mean? I can't operate without this motherfucker. So I have to be able to kind of check myself and say, all right, I got to do what I got to do because this motherfucker's not stopping. And that's what keeps us elevated, man. That's what keeps us just oiled up.
And climbing, dude. The speed that you can do things, the distance that you can take things. When you have that sort of relationship, you're like you said, it doesn't stop. And you know, if you're taking that one day, you know that's not going to turn into 2 and 3 days. You know what I mean? He won't let that happen.
Yeah. I mean, we're on it right now. Like I'm standing on the podcast. I for the first time in my life, what's that nerve again?
Your sciatic
nerve. Your vagina.
Your vagina nerve. Yeah.
Yeah, my fucking vagina. No disrespect. Awesome. Yeah, man. Like I was hitting number 3,000 on my air squats, on my fucking body weight squats. And pinched a nerve, my sciatica, right? Is that how you say it?
He was really twerking on me, bro.
I was twerking the fuck out of that.
That's what it was.
He brought in 20s. He had $20 bills.
You're on a TikTok video.
I was, dude.
Maybe we might have deleted that shit. Save it for later. But yeah, man, like you know, the first day I did that, like that, the entire rest of that day, it's just not fun. Nerve pain, not fun. Sure. But I'm literally doing everything I can at home to get back in the fight because I can't stand it the next day better, but. You know, like I didn't have to say anything to him. We've got deals that are going on right now. I'm like, hey, would you mind calling this person? This person's like, yeah, dude, I got it. When he had a baby, hey, cool, I'll handle some stuff. And, you know, when I had a baby, same thing, man. And like, but at the same time, like yesterday, Kate's, you know, looking at me because literally, man, from waking up, I'm stretching out, I'm walking around, I'm looking on YouTube of like, okay, what can help heal this faster? What can help at least mitigate some of the pain so I can be back working like I am today, working again today. So I was out for 2 days and I guess day and a half. But that's the fight in me that I want to get back in the fight. But then it's also on him like, hey, it was no sweat, man. Like if he's going to cover something. But that's where, again, I know it sounds cliche because we talk about it a lot, but the people you put around you, they got to have that within them. You're not going to just instill that in them. You might be able to mold it a bit or get them to grow it. But I think just that want to get back in the fight and earn your keep and do your part, even though like, hey, it's cool for someone to like pick up your slack for a bit. You're just dying to get back in the fucking fight. Yeah. I don't know if you can grow. So I think that's just got to be in someone. I think that's what you guys have always had at Bastards. That's kind of the culture in the Marine Corps. Not everyone has that in the Marine Corps. Like, let's just say it. I know there's some other folks on here right now probably rolling their eyes. Nope, you're right. There's some shit bags in every branch. But I think the guys that we put ourselves around in division schools and some of the leadership we had, some things that you guys are doing, it's huge. And I think that's where you have to be self-aware and self-accountable. As much as we're pointing fingers for other people to do things, that's fine. But the other side of that leadership or the other side of that loyalty to a partner is making sure, like, with integrity, you can say you're doing your fucking part, you know?
Now, Manny, how does that look for you guys, you know, when you guys do have conflict? How do you guys work through that? How do you resolve that? Does it get intense and you come out, like, how does that look for you guys?
Do you rub Nick's back like Eli rubs my back?
Nah, man, I'll tell you what, we're, myself and Nick have very dominant fucking personalities, right? When we get shit done, we're going to do it. If we need shit done, we're going to do it ourselves, right? But we both understand that. And the reason why it's healthy, it's because we can take the pushback, right? Like if he's talking about some changes, so we're you know making changes and whatnot, we can sit down and fucking duke it out for a good, you know, 30 minutes to an hour on the fucking whiteboard and agree to just disagree. But at the end of the day, we trust each other, man. And that's one thing. There's times that I'm just completely disagreeing with, you know, maybe a scale or changes or whatnot, but I fucking 100% trust this dude with my fucking life.
Yeah.
Right. And so I fucking, Roger, let's get it done. You know what I mean? Whether it works or not, you know what I'm saying? Let's get it done, because I have full confidence that this dude's not going to let me down, and vice versa, man. The guy fucking trusts me with his life. So if I'm like, look, dude, I truly believe in this, be like, all right, Roger that, let's get it done. But there's another step to that, right? It's not just, you got to be able to prove it, right?
Yeah, if it's not working, saying, you got to be able to come back and go, hey, you know what? Scratch it. It's not working, right? That's something that's worked for Eli and I as well.
Yeah. Or you say, hey, like, believe me in this. We're going to make this happen. I think this is going to work. And your partner says, Roger that. Let's get it done. You better be on your fucking A game, dude. Yeah. And you better make it happen. You know what I mean? And if you don't make it happen, you better have contingencies. You better have plan B, or you better get back to the drawing board and be like, hey, all right, these are the changes. What I'm saying is, you know, there has to be, in a partnership, there has to be depth. And there has to be not just trust, but depth, right? Because that's how trust is built. The reason why he trusts me is because if my fucking idea doesn't work, then guess what? I'm going to come back with a different idea, or I'm going to come back and try to scale, or I'm going to come back and be like, hey, let's try your idea.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And vice versa. So trust is the biggest thing, man. Again, whether it's business, whether it's friendship, whether it's fucking whatever, you know what I mean? That's the biggest thing that we focus on and we keep intact, and we don't compromise for anybody or anything. And that's why we're able to, you know, like you asked, Eli, is fucking solve a lot of the problems. Not problems, man, because we never see anything as problems. We see them as opportunities. But that's how we get through shit, right? It's, if I know when he truly believes in something, man, because I just know him, you know? And if I see that, then hey, Roger, let's fucking do it. And 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to jump on board and we're going to make that idea happen, and vice versa. The same with me. If he knows, I mean, he knows me. We fucking deal with each other every single day. If he knows that I have this idea with the restaurant and how we operate and what changes to make, and he sees that I truly fucking believe in that, he's going to jump on board 100% of the time. And we're going to make adjustments along the way. And the reason why it works is because we're subject matter experts at our own piece of the puzzle, right? Nick's a fucking savage when it comes to business mindset, right? And I'm a subject matter expert on the operational side, right? That's my baby. That's where I thrive, and he thrives on the back end of stuff, on the growth and the brand, and we both kind of cross because we both love the operational side. We both love the marketing and the fucking all the back end shit, you know, but we also respect each other's part. And, you know, when we have something to say about each other's part, we make sure that before any changes are made, you know, we make sure we bring it to the table, man. And at the end of the day, like I said, we trust each other to make the best decision, and I'm going to roll with it, and vice versa. And I think that's why, and again, we know people, we know other businessmen, we know other fucking businesses that have failed because of egos, right? It failed because of motherfuckers. You can't tell them what to do. You know, they can't hear, hey, you suck at this. Let me fucking take over. You know what I mean? Because dudes are just, they're egotistic, and they have, you know, no, fuck that. We're going to do my way or the highway. And it's like, cool, I got you. But there's no depth in that, man. And one thing that I try to preach to my staff is understand your strengths, but understand more your weaknesses so you can work on them and make them your strengths.
Well, and you know, what's benefited you guys, it sounds like, is you each have your own lane and you're excellent at your lane. But what people need to realize is when you have your own lane and when you are a subject matter expert, sometimes you can get that tunnel vision. And it's like you may have such a business mind about something that you have tunnel vision and you're missing something else that person in that other lane is seeing. And if your ego is too big to hear them out and be like, hey, what are you seeing that I'm not, even if it's in my lane? Maybe I just can't see it. You're seeing a little further down the road or just a slightly different angle, and I can't see what's around the corner, but because you're in a different lane, you got to be open to that. And for civilians that are listening to this, guys, you have to get okay with what Will said earlier with conflict and not let your fight or flight kick in. Like, I think you guys, you have real fucking fight or flight, real fucking fight, to where just day-to-day conflict or someone disagreeing with you probably doesn't kick that in, because you've had that kick in for real. And most civilians haven't. We're not used to conflict.
And here's the other thing. Here's not to cut you off. Here's the other side. It's so important that whoever you're partnering with or whoever you're with, they also have to treat conflict productively.
Yes.
Because you can't just be open to conflict and thinking it's going to get better. No, because if you got someone that just loves to have conflict on the other side and there's no direction to it, it's not good. And what I mean about conflict, I guess to be more specific, it's constructive debate.
Yes.
I think one thing, Manny thinks another. Let's throw our thoughts out. Let's try to play them out the best we can. Let's get to the whiteboard. Let's figure it out, and then let's make our best decision. And you'd be surprised what you accomplish when nobody's trying to take the credit. If nobody's trying to score a point of like, well, Nick had an idea last time, so now it's my turn to have an idea, or I want to get credit for it. If nobody's trying to get credit for anything, we're just trying to move in a direction that's best for everyone.
Yeah.
And we're all open to it. We all know it's not just the idea, it's the execution that has to happen. And if communication is not there in order to have that direction and that execution, it's going to fail anyway. So you really have to put yourself around the right type of people that have constructive debate.
Intentionally put yourself out there. Because for me, if I've got an idea, I want to know the holes in it. I want you to say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this angle? If you don't have answers to those questions, guys, then your idea might be shit. And if you don't have someone in your life that's bringing those up to you, then you need to find somebody else.
And speaking of that, and kind of what I want to end with, Manny, because I know you got stuff to do. We've almost got you for 2 hours, so I appreciate the extra time. But kind of what I want to lead into is like, how well is that working for you, especially now? Like, we're talking about COVID-19. It's definitely a pandemic that's affecting everyone. You guys are in the restaurant / canteen / bar and grill events / fucking people showing up to have a great time industry, right? How are you guys adapting to that? What are you guys doing? How much has the culture or just the fan base come around to support you guys? And then what are you and Nick doing as far as, the foresight of like what you guys are moving into in the future? What does that look like as well?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it's by far been the hardest fucking thing right now to deal with. I mean, as you know, we've pretty much been shut down for full dining operations right now. So what we've been kind of forced to do is really scale our business, and scale in the sense of what's going to continue to keep us surviving, right? Because that's what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted. We're fucking surviving right now. We're weathering the storm, but that's the goal right now, is to survive. Now, how do you operate within your survival mode? It's what's important. It's kind of what we gotta focus on here, because I'll tell you what. Going into this, everything was super hasty in the sense of like, okay, one day we're fully operating. We're able to fucking serve all our customers, dine in, everything. And then the next moment, it's like, okay, you can't allow anybody into your restaurant for a dine-in, right? So what that does to the service industry, it's catastrophic. It fucked everything up, okay? The service industry across the board right now is hurting. You know what I mean? And so for us, really putting our heads together and adjusting on the fly is what's keeping us surviving. So what we did is we shifted. We do curbside pickup, takeout orders. We had to jump on board with a lot of the local services as far as delivery services, Grubhub, Postmates, Uber Eats, shit like that. Those things that they do great stuff, but we were super confident in what we were doing before that we never adjusted to that, right? And we never had those.
Well, you guys were always an experience. People come to Bastards. Like, it's amazing food. It's high scale, amazing food. You guys' burgers, like, it's phenomenal. But it was also like a thing to like go to Bastards. You know what I mean? It was an experience.
Yeah. So that was the biggest part for us, right? Is what has it done for us now? What has it done for our business now? And what it's done, it's forced us to now be more three-dimensional. Yeah. Right. Instead of just thinking front of the house, back of the house, dining operations, we're now three-dimensional in the sense of like, okay, we have to now get good at takeout orders. We have to get good at curbside pickup. We have to get really good at dealing with these other companies that are going to be our delivery service, you know, and how do we operate within that? And that's the kind of the beauty of all this, man. And that's how I see all of this, because people are really taking this pandemic, especially those that operate within the service industry. And they're not really understanding that, especially entrepreneurs, that this is part of the process. All right. This is just as important as how you feel when you're on top of the fucking game. You know what I mean? This is part of the process right here. Okay. And this is the make or break right here. This is what's going to make or break entrepreneurs, especially in the service industry, because it's just testing you at the fucking highest level, because now your revenue is under 10%, right? Where nights or days that you're making fucking $15,000, now you're making $1,000. You know what I mean? And that's the true test, right? It's how are you going to adjust your business model, your business plan? How are you going to scale that to fit what the fuck is going on right now? Because for one, when it comes to the service industry, you're not able to control that, right? But what you are able to control is what are you doing within, okay? What are you building within to kind of adjust and scale to what it is that is happening right now? And that's the cool part about all this, because it allows us now to be innovative, where we pride ourselves on staying with the acronym that the Marine Corps fucking taught us, was keep it simple, stupid, right? You'll never see us kind of going out of the norm and doing some crazy shit to try to fucking, you know,
drum up business,
set ourselves apart, because we do that naturally. We do that with the culture that we put together. We do that with the vibe that our fucking brand brings to the table, and the attention and the awareness that it does. So that's how we set ourselves apart, because nobody in the West Coast is doing what we're doing. Nobody, as far as the veteran community, they're not, right? And with the restaurant side and the nonprofit side. So what we've been forced to do now during this pandemic is really just now get innovative. Now we have the ability to not keep it simple, right? But to create something outside of the box that's going to tie in and really conform to what people are doing nowadays, right? So right now we have people staying home fucking, you know, 24/7, right? But people still want to enjoy entertainment. They still want to eat good food, right? So how do we now mesh all of that together and create an experience? Because people are fucking yearning for that right now. You got people on Friday nights in front of their living room TVs, boozing it up, and listening to fucking live streaming shows right now of their favorite band, because they can't get out there and watch a show. So what we've started to figure out is how do we create something that we can mesh all that with still keeping with providing good food and beverages.
I know.
Right?
A podcast.
So that's something that's in the works.
Oh,
so
motherfucker. Because you might have talked about podcasts before we fucking talked about
podcasts. So we have something in the works. I really don't want to fucking launch any details on it, and fucking we could talk offline about this. It's something really cool. We got a really cool fucking name on it, but it's a very popular name that, you know, we definitely want to keep to ourselves. But along with that is a fucking streaming service, man. It's being able to adapt to what everybody's doing right now. And we have a venue, right? We have a location where we produce amazing cocktails, amazing fucking beer on draft, amazing food, and a place that we can bring local talent to be able to stream their bands locally, stream live, and be able to bring awareness to these bands, and also some monetary fucking relief to these bands. So what we're doing is now we're doing a Bastards Unplug. So what we do is we set up a backline at Bastards. So we have a full backline set up. Eli, you probably know a little bit more than Will what the fuck that means. But now these bands could come in and pretty much just plug and play. Dope. They can set up their equipment.
Oh yeah, I was wireless. I was a wireless in play. I wasn't a plug and play. I was like the wireless. Indeed.
But and we have bands that can stream their shows live from Bastards, and can, you know, they pull up their Venmo, they pull up their.
It's a great idea.
You know, anything that people can donate to the band, and then also bring awareness to the restaurant as far as food and beverage, takeout services. While they're streaming this show live and from the living room, they can be eating fucking amazing bastard food.
Well, and the bottom line is, man, you guys have
beer,
brand. You guys have a brand. I mean, the bottom line is you guys have built culture, you've built brand. So regardless of where you take it, it's established. And I think that's what most people have to understand is it's established, and it's got to be, you got to be true to yourself. You got to be established. I want to bring you back on too, Matt. You're definitely one of the homies where we just want to, as we get out of this thing, as we come through, as you guys get creative, you start, becoming able to tell us your fucking secrets and all that high speed shit.
Yeah.
We want to have you back on, man, and just bring it in. Is that your little boy in the background?
Yeah. I think he's getting a little fussy.
He's waiting for Cash to come on. They want to talk baseball talk each other.
No, I'll tell you what, dude. He's been fucking the most amazing fucking thing that has ever happened to me, man. If there's something that is a pivotal point in someone's life, is definitely having their first kid. It's direct reflection of who I am. He loves the game. Yeah. You know what I mean? He loves the game, but he's super fucking he's super cool. He's something that I look forward to every day. Yeah. Again, another piece of my why. Come here, buddy. Hey, come here. Yeah, he's out.
It's gonna be fun having him run into Cash and let those boys play ball.
I want to get out there, man. I want to get out there. Yeah. So we can hang out, and I want to come check out your guys' spot. I think what you guys are doing are great. It's amazing. I told Will, man, when you guys first started this, that it's really fucking cool. And come say hi, dude. I know. Come say hi real quick to Uncle Will.
Hey, look at him.
Say what's up.
What up?
Say hi to everybody.
What's up, dude?
Say, what's your name? What's your name, though? Yeah, good job,
boy.
Dude, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great kid, man.
This dude's amazing, but
that's awesome. How old is he?
But yeah, man,
2.5.
He'll be 3 in July.
Crazy.
So it's cool to I mean, you guys have boys. Yep. What do you guys think?
Yeah, amazing.
Dude,
that'll be a whole nother podcast. We should put all 3 boys on and just let them run with the mics and put them on live and let everybody painfully hear their yells.
Yeah.
Dude. Eli, you have a boy, right?
Yeah, he'll be 2 Sunday.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Quarantine
birthday coming up. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, Manny, I appreciate it, bro. We'll let you get back to the family and doing your thing, man. Let's definitely bring you back on in the future and just see how you guys are adapting and where you guys are at. And as soon as we can get out there in person, I'm sure we've got some stuff that's scheduled in California once this stuff opens back up. So whenever we're out in your town, man, we'll have to stop by and hang out and let Eli feel it.
For sure, man. I'm stoked. Anything you guys need, you guys already know, man. I think, like I said, what you guys are doing is really fucking cool. You guys are killing the game. We're good out here, man. We're going to continue to hustle. We got a great support system. Everybody that's behind the brand over here is amazing. That's one thing that I wanted to definitely highlight and make sure that everybody knew. Everybody that's behind the Bastards brand. Temecula is still in the works. Once all this shit is over, Temecula is going to fucking open. And I'm super excited because we've been able to pull some veteran investors to jump on the team and be a part of this fucking growing monster that we're super excited for, man. And really wanted to highlight through, with Save the Brave. If there's any vets out there, man, that can fucking, that want to get out and be a part of what we're doing, get around some vets. We have a huge offshore program that we just kicked off. It's a fishing program. And we really just fucking gone balls to the walls with it. And what we do is we take vets out right now it's tough because of the quarantine, but every month we have a huge fishing trip where we take vets out just to get them out, man, and get them around vets, telling their stories and just really decompressing from just their everyday life. And we, the team that we put together with Save the Brave has been amazing. These guys are 100%, voluntary, but these guys really fucking put their heart and soul on everything they're doing to give back to the veteran community. So shouts out to them. If you guys are a vet out there, man, get at us at savethebrave.org. We're super excited for the upcoming season, the fishing season. It's going to be dope. We do trips down to Baja, up to Alaska. We have some trips, planned this year that we still want to get to. And it's just, again, it's an extension of what we do with Bastards. Like I said, one doesn't work without the other. If you see them, on our trips or volunteering with Save the Brave, you more likely see them on our fucking, at our bar. And while I'm slinging cocktails to these guys, man. So shout out to all those guys. Shout out to, everybody who's continuing to support what we're doing, especially during these times, man. Like you guys putting us on this platform that you guys have, and you guys doing amazing things to be able to highlight veteran entrepreneurs. I mean, you had Donnie on just recently, and you had fucking Shantosh on. I mean, these are fucking heavyweights in the veteran community. And I want you guys to know that being out here on the West Coast, I think we're a little bit more surrounded by that. And the fact that you guys had both Donnie and Tosh, it's really bringing that veteran entrepreneurship to a whole nother level, because these guys are doing it. And Tosh has been doing it. That guy is literally the epitome of what a fucking veteran entrepreneur is. And that guy is legit on a completely different level. And the fact that myself and Will got to work for him, during our time in the Marine Corps, and a lot of guys that we know, it's super special. Same thing with Donnie. Donnie's at our fucking events all the time. He's at Marine Corps birthday every year, just hammered and fucking jumping on stage telling jokes.
No, they're awesome guys, man. And we'll have to link up too, because Donnie's got some cool stuff, and he's on the same mission you are. I think that I'm starting to grow back into as well, man. It's just trying to highlight and just have a platform to give back to veterans, to just expose not only just some of the people they could get around to help, but just different ways that they can grow within themselves to find their find their spot.
And to all you guys, man, like the value that a veteran who can articulate the way you guys articulate, Donnie, yourself, Tosh, Will, like that's just so rare, man, and that's so beneficial to, selfishly to us civilians, to be able to just learn what you guys have, experienced in the military and how you've applied that to business and civilian life. No one can talk to that, but a very, very, very small percentage of guys have experienced it. And then an even smaller percentage of those guys who can articulate it the way that you guys do and apply it. So thank you to all you guys for those lessons that you're able to pass along, and having these platforms, man. If you guys got a podcast coming up, phenomenal, because the more that, you guys can get your stories and your lessons out to people who haven't, had those experiences. It's super important. And I can't imagine how it is for the veteran community, for guys who are transitioning or struggling or are learning to articulate that, to be able to learn from you guys, how you've been able to apply that. Manny, where do we pick up some Bastards gear, man? I see you wearing that shirt. Is there a place, our viewers can pick some of that stuff up?
Yeah. So, you can check us out for all our merch. We are going to be dropping some new merch once, again, this quarantine kind of opens up. We got a pretty dope spring line that we're launching. But you can pick it up at bastardscanteen.com.
Okay.
You can do a bunch of shit on that website, all right? You can order food from that website. You can order, merch from that website. You can fucking do a bunch of shit. Check out our menus. Check out our upcoming events, blogs.
What's up?
bastardscanteen.com.
Yeah. He's awesome.
He looks like Eli.
bastardscanteen.com.
Cool.
And you can follow us on Instagram at bastardscanteen. I'm constantly posting, we're constantly posting shit on our new merch, our upcoming stuff. Man. And just check out our YouTube page, Bastards Canteen. We're trying to just double down, man. That's one thing. If there's anything that anybody wants to fucking hear right now, as far as advice, is double down on your content, especially right now. Don't be afraid to put it out there, put your face out there on what you're doing and your movement. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something that we've been doing a lot more, and we see a huge return on it. And don't be afraid to get the word out, especially if you're a veteran out there. Again, man, keep doing your fucking thing. And I'm super stoked for you guys, especially you, Eli, man. I think that your mentality is on a different level, brother, because you not only can see and you can articulate what leadership is done at the highest level, but you're also able to kind of fucking play with those two worlds of civilian world and the veteran world, because you're surrounded by it. And one thing that has helped me, man, is just surrounding myself, whether it's civilian or veteran, it's just surrounding myself with just animals, and animals that are just going to continue to help you grow. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. And being able to distinguish, you know what I mean? The quality over the quantity of people that you surround with.
Dude,
you surround yourself with.
Definitely blessed to be in the spot that I am.
Big ups to that, man. I think that's super cool. And what you guys are doing. I mean, I'm super excited for you guys. Will, I know he fucking talks a lot, and he's a pain in the ass, man. Shit. But dude has a great heart.
Hell yeah.
I you know what I mean? We have the greatest relationship, and I'm super thankful for this dude. And again, man, he's a fucking animal when it comes to his work ethic. But if you need some checking, bro, just hit me up, man. I got it.
You got it, dude.
Listen,
you got it.
Likewise. Look, hey, man, this vanilla gorilla might have to get after you every once in a while, bro.
Yeah. And hey, when Temecula opens, man, grand opening, we're having a day $1 tent. We're taking all our podcast shit. We're gonna live stream the whole thing.
When is that
dude.
expected? After, I mean, obviously with COVID, blowing over. When are you guys expecting? Like fourth quarter, first quarter, second quarter next year? What is it looking like?
No, man. I mean, I'm hoping that here's the thing: is that our build out is still going. It's still ongoing. We're at the final, the final phase line of our build out. Excuse me. And but we're anticipating that once all this shit blows over, we can go into some opening operations. Cool. So whenever the fuck that is, man. Again, we're not the biggest fans of this shit because it's how it's affecting us. But we're taking it day by day, man, and we're rolling with it. So right now, mission is priority, and that is, fucking surviving during these times. But luckily, we've been able to continue the build out process of Temecula.
Good.
And it's super exciting because, just to put it in perspective, our location in Downey is a little under 2,000 square feet. Occupancy is about 70 people. Our events usually house between 3,000 to 4,000 people in the outside.
Damn.
Well, Temecula, it's about 6,700 square feet.
Wow.
Okay. So here it's equipped with a full music venue, and the outside is just a massive event space for us.
Awesome.
So we're really excited for that. It's really going to kind of take things to the next level.
It's going to pop off, bro. I'm going to be there doing those beers again. It's been a little while. So if Rosie's still watching, Rosie and her husband, I don't know if David did it well. Rosie was awesome at it. Maybe David was good at it.
No, man, it's super cool because now, just at the level of our events, like I said, they're on a complete different level now. All these people that initially came on as volunteers and just helped, just from the kindness of their hearts, now get to enjoy the show because we have systems in place, and we've grown to the point where we had to now beef up our staff to be able to facilitate those. And now these people that for so many years have, just volunteered their 10 to 14 hour days for these events, they can now come and fucking have a good time and enjoy these shows, man. And it's super exciting for us because it's really set us apart from every other place in the West Coast. Not only do we run a restaurant, but there's a nonprofit attached to it that does amazing things for veterans. And there's a huge team behind that. And along with that, man, we throw the best Marine Corps birthday, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, man, St. Patty's Day on the West Coast, man. And nobody out there can say otherwise. And if they can get at us at bastardscanteen.com and prove it to us. Because what we've done, it's been super cool. But I'll tell you what, man, it hasn't been just us three getting after it. There is an amazing team behind the Bastards family with volunteers, staff from the past, and staff that's still current. They're the reason why we've been able to get to where we're at right now. Not us. We're just the guys who fucking direct traffic and come up with these ideas. But it's our staff and our team that executes it. And that's what we're super excited for, moving forward, because now we've created, a platform for these people to grow within our company, because now we operate in a bigger platform now where we can allow, bigger things to happen within our team. So we're super excited about that, and we're super thankful for them. Because like I said, man, it's definitely not us. It's just us putting our fucking pen to paper, but it's definitely them executing the task. And as you guys know, doubling down on our team has been super effective because you have to definitely get these people to believe in what you're fucking doing.
Yeah.
If they
It's
don't,
bleeding through though, and you guys are doing great, man. It's bleeding through, and no, it's gonna be great, man. And we're definitely gonna be out there for that grand opening. Hey,
super excited about that.
And let's keep moving forward with podcasts in the near future, man. Just letting everyone know what you're doing and where your progress is. I think that's gonna resonate as far as just business growth. But Manny, you stay on the line, man. We're gonna exit it out and tell people happy Thursday and all that good stuff. And but stay on the line, man. We'll still be here for a sec.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll be back.
And he said
tomorrow.
Yeah, and he did say tomorrow. I threw the ball better than him. I shot better than him. He's meaning right.
We're gonna edit it in later.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thursday, guys.
Day $1 0 out.